Hi class, my name is Oksana Gonzalez and today I'll be presenting Chapter 4, Forests, Wildlife, and Biodiversity. This chapter deals with three topics that often intertwine: the fate of the trees of the forest, the relationship with wildlife and economics, and the importance of biodiversity to nature. Many people fail to see the importance of these three issues if they live in an urban environment. In 1991, a federal judge protected the forest habitat of the northern spotted owl from logging. The protection of the spotted owl, an endangered species, brought howls to protest from the logging industry. It made no sense to them to protect the bird at the cost of revenues to the industry. It is difficult to understand that these cases have an impact on all of us because of the interrelationship between nature and humans that often clash with ways to make more money. The importance of the spotted owl to environmentalists, ecologists, and forest managers is that it is what is called an indicator species, a barometer of the health of an entire ecosystem. The second reason is that forest provides aesthetic value to be enjoyed by hikers, backpackers, and bird watchers. The tropical rainforest is important because it absorbs carbon dioxide, which helps reduce global warming. However, the rate at which it is being cut down at 32 million acres per year could denude the globe of an entire rainforest for 100 years. With the death of the rainforest, we will see the demise of thousands of species and a change in the global rainfall patterns. Some of the rainforests in Brazil have been cleared to make way for coffee plantations, which offers a source of revenue for farmers. This move exposes the soil to heavy rains. The result is that streams and rivers are becoming filled with sediment, and the soil beneath the rainforest is typically poor for farming. Forest managers have to consider the trees, soil, streams, plants, animals, and insects. Trees represent a commodity when harvested. When still standing, they represent a capital good. Forest managers must decide the optimal point at which to harvest the trees. There are several ways trees are harvested, either to clear the land for other purposes or to turn the timber into paper and wood products. Clear cutting is a method in which loggers cut down 40 to 200 acres of forest and then burn down the entire remnants. This method is found to be the cheapest and fastest for killing trees. However, it brings with it several disadvantages. It creates an unsightly scar in the forest, fragments and destroys wildlife habitats, plants, and causes soil erosions, which can be serious. Other ways to harvest trees are strip cutting, selective cutting, and shelter wood cutting. Strip cutting is when loggers cut in much smaller strips, usually 1 to 5 acres. This technique reduces the devastation of soil, plants, and species that can be found with clear cutting. Selective cutting is when specific type of trees are removed from the forest, for example, maple trees. This reduces the visual scarring of the forest and protects it from disease and insects. However, this type of cutting is costly. And shelter wood cutting is a technique in which poor quality trees are removed while healthy trees protect the new seedlings until they are sufficient high to remove the high quality trees. This is a superior method for protecting species and the visual aspect of the forest, and it is also costly if compared to clear cutting. There are three major certification bodies for sustainable forest: the Program for Endorsement of Forest Certification, Forest Stewardship Council, and Sustainable Forestry Initiative. PEFC is primarily applied in Europe and North America. It relies on intergovernmental agreements and internationally recognized processes. FSC claims to be the strictest certification process, and it is based upon 10 principles and offers 3 types of certificates: forest management, chain of custody, and control at wood. SFI is similar in structure to FSC with 3 certifications involving forest, chain of custody, and fiber sourcing. Forest Ethics is a political and active environmental organization based in Canada, which protects forests in a number of ways. It lobbies corporations to be more sustainable, protecting the forests and reducing waste. The organization is upset with the SFI certified logging in the Sierra Nevada mountains, which they label as greenwashing. That is given license to decimate the forest and feel good about it because the logging is certified. The group also releases an annual list of companies that are naughty or nice with their mail distribution to consumers. Picture to the right shows the naughty and nice list from 2008 posted on their website. 80% of the US population reside in urban areas, and most of the people are concerned with the trees in their own backyards. Urban forests include city parks, tree-lined avenues, public gardens, greenway, wetlands, and nature preserves. A comprehensive study of urban forestry was conducted in Chicago in 1994. The project revealed that the urban forest of Chicago consisted of 51 million trees. Trees in Chicago removed an estimated 17 tons of carbon monoxide, 93 tons of sulfur dioxide, 98 tons of nitrogen dioxide, 210 tons of ozone, and 234 tons of particulate matter. The study conducted that the trees' coverage improved air quality by approximately 15% during the midday hours. And the large trees growing west of a typical brick residence reduce air conditioning expenses by 2 to 7%. Thanks to this study, cities like New York started to actively pursuing the tree planting to increase urban forests. Home Depot is one of the largest retailers of wood and wood products in the United States. They have eco-option programs which highlights more energy-efficient products for its buyers. Its bigger competitor Lowe's is taking 6 steps as an approach to operate more sustainably. Office Depot, a retailer that sells papers and paper goods, is also conveying to customers that they're aware of paper impact to the environment and intend to be proactive on the issue. Although you would expect with the popularity of email and the web that paper use has diminished, that is hardly the case. Roughly 42% of the harvested wood goes into paper production. The United States is the largest consumer with 92,000 metric tons each year, followed by China and Japan. The US consumes 4 million tons of copy paper, 2 billion books, 350 million magazines, and 25 billion newspapers per year. Paper makes up 40% of solid waste. Approximately 4% of the United States is designated as wilderness and receives government protection. U.S. law defines wilderness as an area where the earth and its community of life are untrammeled by man, where man himself is a visitor who does not remain. In 1964, the Wilderness Act protected 107 million acres of land. About 57 million acres are in Alaska. The act prohibits logging, motorized vehicles, and motorboats. The purpose is to leave nature in its pristine state for outdoor enthusiasts to join commuting away from urban traffic and pollution. However, even in the wilderness, like national parks, are in danger of being loved to death. Overcrowding on trails and at campsites has increased garbage and damage to plants. Forest managers must pay attention to certain types of species. These species have importance to maintaining the biodiversity of the forest. Ecologically important species have special meaning because of their places within the food web. These species are called keystone species. If removed from a system, they would have a disproportionate impact on that system. This definition also includes plants. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature has classified 6 types of endangerment. Least concern, which means not conservation dependent or close to being vulnerable. Near threatened means close to being vulnerable. Conservation dependent, which focuses on continuing habitat conservation program. Vulnerable are high risk of extinction in the medium term. Endangered are very high risk of extinction. And critically endangered, which has risk of immediate extinction. Forest managers may select several species as their health and population are representative of a system as a whole. Endangered species are those that are found in a small area and are at low density within that area. Once a species becomes noticeably endangered, intervention or protection becomes necessary. Indicator species are representative of the health of an ecosystem. Biologists groups the factor endangering species into the acronym HIPPO: habitat destructions, invasive species, pollution, population, and overharvesting. Commercial development often leads to alteration of habitat for a number of species. The destruction of the rainforest has led to the disappearance of many species. Destruction of coral reefs and wetlands have been a factor in the loss of many species as well. Hunting has reduced the number of species to the endangered status. The introduction of a foreign species to a habitat can drive another species out and into endangerment. And other causes of endangerment include pests, viruses, pollution, and human collection. In 1995, 31 wolves were captured and released in Yellowstone National Park, and another 36 in Idaho, after an absence from the region of 70 years. The intention was to return the wolves to a natural habitat that they had been driven from by men. Ranchers in the area were concerned about the safety of the cattle and greeted the wolves' reintroduction with horror. The wolf population has grown from that original group of 66 to 663, with 271 residing in Yellowstone, 284 in Idaho, and 180 in Montana. This has reduced the status from endangered to threatened. In 2002, wolves killed 52 cattle, 99 sheep, 9 dogs, and 5 llamas. Ranchers shot and killed 46 wolves in the same period. In 2018, the Bush administration authorized wolf hunting in the region in order to compensate ranchers for their losses. This is the perfect example of the conflict between nature and economics. Another example of the critical relationship between man and nature is the disappearance of the bees in the winter of 2006 and 2007. Bees serve an important role in nature, pollinating 1/3 of our fruits and vegetables. During that winter, approximately 25% of the bee population in the United States vanished. It was discovered that the bees grew sick with a virus and left their hive to die. This disease became to be known as colony collapse disorder. After several studies, it was linked to a virus that had been imported by bees that hailed from Australia. The virus held the threat of total extinction. There was an obvious economic loss, not only to beekeepers, but agricultural loss as well. Estuaries are partially enclosed bodies of water along the coast where fresh water from river meets salt water from the ocean. These are natural habitat to a number of endangered species. Thousands of species of birds, mammals, fish, and other wildlife depend on estuarine habitat as a place to live, feed, and reproduce. Many marine organisms depend on it at some point during their development. They provide ideal areas for migratory birds to rest and refuel during the long journeys. Because many species of fish and wildlife rely on the sheltered waters of estuaries, they often call nurseries of the sea. Economic development often comes into conflict with the conservation and preservation of nature. While a new housing development brings some employment and economic gain, it also can threaten an important ecosystem and upset the balance of nature. Many people question why should we care about the fate of a snail or an owl, a species so minute in the greater scale of things that their disappearance will hardly be noticed. And the answer to those questions is that we are all interrelated and we must respect the earth. We have reached the end of chapter 4. Thanks for watching.